So today video it's a bit different. So literally there's a beef going on, back and forth going on between Koreans versus Southeast Asians. They call siblings versus Korean. So they're fighting of certain stuff that happened the other day.
So Southeast Asians are beefing with South Koreans, and as a South Korean, when I hear you guys say, "Oh, Koreans are racist, capitalist, greedy, class obsessed, starved for white attention, Western attention, pick Mishas, obsessed with money, obsessed with power, obsessed with climbing the political and social and work ladder. We consider ourselves supremacists. We are better than everyone. Our music is better than. We're better at everyone else at taking the American ideals of greed and unfettered capitalism and completely losing our souls. So much so that we have let our country be taken over by corporations and conglomerates that run. Corporations like Samsung and LG completely run the country and the nation. And that's why our presidents have always been crooks and criminals. And that's why some of them even unalive themselves and bringing witches into the blue house. You know what I say as a Korean? You're right.
Full of plastic. And they don't even speak English. That's what you want to hear, right? Yes, I'm Korean living in Thailand. I love Thailand. I love Southeast Asia. I respect culture, food, language, and the differences. And yet, I get attacked, not for what I did, but simply being Korean. Insults that have nothing to do with who I am as a person. This is not about Korea. This is not about Southeast Asia. This is about where you choose to place your attention. When you focus on growth, kindness, and understanding, your life becomes brighter. But when you constantly feed your mind with the anger and negativity, that's all your reality becomes. I don't live in a victim mindset. I choose to live as a creator. Most people are kind. Most people are respectful. One ignorant person's actions do not define entire people. It's time to stop turning individual mistakes into collective hatreds. Let's stop this and choose the humanity instead.
I'm back in H Mart and Siblings are cooking Korean. And I can't even say that I'm surprised because one thing that I have absolutely experienced is the animosity that exists between specifically Koreans and a whole lot of other people in the Asian world, but specifically the Asians with skin that is very close to mine. I've had Korean people stop being cool with me because I was cool with someone who was Filipino, which was trippy for me because I'm like, wow, so then you guys view everyone in Southeast Asia as below us. Mind you, no one's below anyone. But I was like, to see this in person was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. I told you, I'm here to just pick up a little bit of shrimp chips and some pancit. That's it. But I will stay for a little bit of the mess. Me personally, I don't want to see any of you guys arguing. I would much rather you guys actually get along. But when it is common knowledge that Koreans are the white people of Asian people, certain conversations must be had. So let's have them. Oh, and grown man, by the way. Don't believe me? Watch this. Although it's uncomfortable, these conversations have to happen.
I want to talk about the siblings versus Korea from the unique perspective of being half Filipino, half Korean. I know I've been gone for 3 weeks. I was on a trip with my boyfriend, very limited service, and then I got very sick. I'm still clearly very sick. If you don't know, the controversy is Korean fans were in Malaysia for a Day 6 concert. Day 6 is not K-pop, they're more of a K-band. Incredible live vocals. Anyways, everyone's saying they're K-pop, that's not true. Koreans brought in large cameras that weren't allowed. Malaysians called them out. Koreans very quickly resorted to racism, xenophobia, classism, colorism, etc. What I'm hearing a lot of people say is oh, Koreans are just like this. But I kind of want to talk about the history a little. The worst part of Korea's personality as a country is the U.S. imperialism of it all. The importing of U.S. ideology through Korea being a U.S. military stronghold. Literally the importing of U.S. beauty standards by a white doctor. Or K-pop culture vulturing and then exporting their product. And this applies to all kind of U.S. imperialism in Korea. From Christianity, where Korea's okay, we're gonna make crazy cults. Even to food. I'm a little high, so food sounded good. Okay, I'm making ravioli. Anyways, this U.S. imperialist ideology gets amplified by Korean Han, which if you don't know is like Korean feeling of like a deep like unresolved trauma and like grief from like all the colonization that happened to Korea. So Koreans will like take a fight from 0 to 100 immediately. We call it like K-rage in like America, or maybe in Korea too, I guess. Even when they're wrong, even when a Korean person's wrong, even worse when a Korean person's wrong, will they go into like K-rage and like the Han will come out. And that's what we saw. We saw Koreans who were in the wrong go 0 to 100. And being half Korean, half Filipino, like I'm so familiar with seeing how a lot of Koreans, you know, their perception of Southeast Asians. But being Southeast Asian, like being Filipino, the whole thing of like also being under the thumb of Western colonization and imperialism, like we've had to develop just the best comedy chops to, in essence, like deal with this abuse. Like we are seeing Korea now essentially colonize the Philippines, like in real time. Like I just went on a cruise and it actually just like, it's like, I would say like 80% of the crew was Filipino, and I kind of knew that was going to happen, but I didn't really know until I was there. And the feeling of being surrounded by so much community on the high seas, I'm getting sidetracked. I want to talk about the cruise in another video. But that's why like siblings can just be Shakespearean with their insults. Because in the end, Korea almost has like big brother, little brother syndrome, where like their big brother is really strong. It's when their big brother does like, you know, is a bully and punches someone, Korea thinks that they can do that too. But like the US will not back up Korea in this. And when they do, like all the white people who were racist to Southeast Asians got eaten up as well. Because when you are the people that are constantly looked down upon, it's like baked into your DNA as to how to react. Anyways, I have like a lot of videos probably coming this week. I've literally just been like mentally needing to take a break because of everything going on and have like literally not been on this app. But I hope this will be like a fun dive back into it. Siblings forever. Like, that's the other thing. When I like going and traveling abroad is really interesting for me. A lot of my East Asian friends will be like, oh my God, go to Japan, go to Korea. Like the guys there, like they love us because we're Asian. And then being half Southeast Asian, I'll go and then crickets on, you know, apps in Japan and Korea. But the second I go to Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan even, I need my external battery, baby!
I gotta start minding my own business, bro. Tell me why I'm on Twitter and I find myself in the middle of a war zone between the Southeast Asians and the South Koreans. And this ain't no ordinary war either. No, this is a massacre, bro. The Southeast Asians are demolishing the South Koreans. And let me just say, I'm not trying to get in the middle of no beef. I ain't trying nothing. I'm just an observer. I'm just watching, okay? I'm not in the middle of nothing. I'm not taking nobody's side. Leave me alone. I don't want no parts of that shit. Damn! Now, I don't know the full context of what's going on, but apparently some South Korean said some racist shit to somebody from Malaysia who was just trying to inform them of like some rule or something that's in Malaysia, and they were like, well, you can do it in South Korea. Like, it's a whole bunch. Just basis is a South Korean was being racist to a Malaysian, and now the whole of Southeast Asia is on their ass. And like most of these Twitter posts are just rage bait. Like, honestly, I don't even think the Southeast Asians are trying to win the argument anymore. They're literally just like rage baiting South Korea, like just happy as fuck the South Koreans are mad. They're literally just like, get mad. Get mad. Get mad. Okay, Am, get mad. Like, what the fuck? And don't even get me started on some of these, bro. Somebody said, people wonder why South Koreans don't get pimples. How the fuck would pimples grow on plastic? Another one was like, I would tell you to jump in the ocean, but the ocean already has a microplastics problem. I don't want to add to the problem. God damn, wave the white flag. Somebody pick that bitch up and wave it, because this is not the war that y'all want, bro. And it's the way every single Southeast Asian country just immediately joined Malaysia's side. Like, it's the entirety of Southeast Asia against South Korea. Like, nobody's backing South Korea. When I say massacre, I do not want y'all to don't think I'm exaggerating. It's almost every country against South Korea. South Korea's won. They are fighting for their lives, bro. It's so bad. It's so bad. I need to start minding my business, because I was just going through that shit for like 4 hours. I'm not even lying. Bro, it's so much shit. And they're not stopped. Like, it's still going on. It's like, it's called the Siblings. SEA versus the Koreans. Like, it's the siblings versus the Koreans. And when that shit, siblings, like, it's all of Southeast Asia. Fuck Korea. Wave the white flag. You're getting demolished.
What is going on? Okay, so I'm 32, so I went to school in the very early 2000s, so it was a very different dynamic. This is mind-blowing because I'm Korean, okay? I'm Korean, but I grew up in California, and majority of my friends that I grew up with were Southeast Asians. So in high school, I was the only Korean girl, and there were 4 Korean boys, and that was it. And in elementary school and middle school, no one even knew what Korea was. They didn't know it was a country. When I pointed out on the map, they're like, that small country? Do you guys even have a computer? That's what they said. So for me, seeing how Korean people, those young Korean people acting on Twitter, I don't have Twitter though, but I just saw some. It's outrageous and just mind-blowing to me. What? Because when I was in high school, this is what I looked like without any plastic surgery. I still don't have any plastic surgery, but this is what I looked like. Bam. And the boys that went to school with, well, they were all really tall and really good looking naturally, so not fair. But living through my high school years looking like that, I looked up to so many Southeast Asian girls because naturally they were so beautiful. They are so beautiful, and they were so smart. They're stinking smart. And the last thing was, they knew how to live. They were so kind to me. That's why I got to go to their house, eat lumpia, some tom yum soup, being the part of the family. Everything was just beautiful. Going to Jollibees together. So for me, instead of looking down on them, they were the people that I looked up to, especially like the seniors, the Filipina girls. They were the it girls, and the Thai girls and Vietnamese girls, and the Filipino seniors and Vietnamese boys were fine. I almost did go out with one Filipino senior and a Vietnamese guy. But I couldn't. So me going through, what is Korea? Is that Japan? What is Korea? Do you guys even have a computer? To this? I mean, either way, both are not good because I felt so small growing up in America because no one knew where I was from. No one knew Korea. They kind of looked down on me. And now that K-pop and K-drama is so big, now Korean people are being cocky. This is like black people being racist. That always blows my mind. When black people discriminate, when black people are racist, it's like, how are you racist? I know that you didn't live in that historical time, but didn't you learn? Didn't you have a history education? And now seeing Korean people acting cocky when no one knew who we were a few years back? No. We need to be thankful that Southeast Asian girls and boys hang out with us and sometimes do look up to us because we have a great pop culture. But that doesn't give us the advantage or the right to look down on anyone. Do we even know their culture? Do we even know how wonderful people they are? Does Korean people even know who they are talking to? And Korean people think, well, let's say some, because trust me, not all of us are like this. Especially if you're on Twitter as a Korean, I don't hang out with you. Those closed-minded, full of hate kind of people, I'm just so embarrassed as a Korean. I am so sorry, everyone. I'm not the best person to talk on behalf of this because I grew up with Southeast Asian friends. But just me talking, okay, with my personal experience, you guys are gorgeous. I don't understand how a Korean people are calling Southeast Asian girls ugly. That is mind-blowing because they were the most beautiful girls that I grew up with that I wanted to be like. that gorgeous, beautiful skin, your eyes, the nose, everything about them was so voluptuous. Sorry for talking so much, but it's just because I'm trying to get this and understand whatever the hell is going on, because for me, this is crazy talk. Crazy talk. Maybe this is why people say never give an ugly man a chance. You know? Okay. You know, the K-pop stars, yes, they did it. But Korean men needs to realize that they're not them. Yes, Southeast Asian girls like Korean guys who are on stage, who knows what's up. But you guys are not looking up at all the Korean men. Ugh. The audacity? Excuse me? I don't know, girls. Please take me out of it. I'm 100% Korean, but take me out of this, please. So, anyways, it's gonna take some time, but I just want to say, you guys are beautiful. Will you be my friends? I always loved being part of it. Bye.
So you might be unaware, but there's currently like a little social media war going on with Southeast Asia and Korea. Currently, there are, I want to assume, maybe millions, if not hundreds of thousands, of Southeast Asians identifying as Sibling and calling Koreans as K-nets. Even though initially they're only going after certain types of Koreans in Korea, it's blown up on X, and now it's everywhere, where if you even look Korean, you're gonna get attacked. I, for one, am constantly, just check out my latest post, the ones with like 20K plus, they're all siblings. So why do Koreans from around the world also get thrown into this kind of mess? I feel as though there are many siblings that aren't racist and are just angry at the Koreans that look down upon them. But I also believe there's a lot of them that just have a lot of hate that want to just express it right now, and they're just attacking anyone. There's also a language barrier, and so the ones that are not even from Korea are trying to explain this doesn't help anyone. This only creates more tension for your people, but it seems we're at a point where just people are just flinging hate. From videos to lives, especially my lives, they're coming in and saying a lot of different racist stuff. But this is where it kind of gets kind of sad. Just as if I were to get arrested by an ICE agent that was Asian, I would look at them and be like, what? Siblings are also Asians. So when they're telling me to open my eyes, when they say speak English, when my accent is like this, it kind of seems dumb. And I don't know if you know what it's like being in America. Our racism is much more harsh. So you're just kind of embarrassing your guys. I don't know, like, a bunch of Asians coming over here to America to make fun of me for being Asian is I understand your guys' anger. I really do, because just all around the world, it's usually northern countries that look down upon the southern ones. North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Eastern Asia, Southern Asia. So I understand, but not every single one of us is racist. You can't go after every single Korean or anyone that looks like a Korean, because that's also racist. Even if you're saying this is just for fun, at the end of it, you might cause damage to your own people, because now other people are going to be looking at this. And if other people are looking at this, they're all just going to kind of wonder what's up with you guys. I highly suggest maybe making content, maybe taking a stance that isn't about attacking individuals that aren't even aware. There's so many Koreans or even Korean looking people or Korean associated people that are being attacked that have no idea why they're being attacked. And if this is your way of spreading awareness, it seems to be the worst way to do it. Just saying. I'd also like to add that they're going around making you choose either you got to be on Sibling's side or KNAT's side. I feel like that's very in America, there's already division. So for you guys to cause more division, it doesn't sit very well with Americans in general because we're learning over here that it's not about choosing which side you're on. It's about finding out the truth and going after the people who are responsible for the problems we have today. If you can get past the way I look and realize we're just all human, that is probably where we can start talking. And in case you're not involved in any of this and you've just been wondering what's going on, that is what's been going on. A politician, K-pop artist, said some things that kind of upset the Southeast Asian countries, and now they're coming after all Koreans, which really doesn't seem fair. It's kind of, but I'm just over here in America doing my American things, so I appreciate it. And apparently that's even worse, being American and Korean, double racist now. Life's going up.
So apparently the Southeast Asians are beefing with the South Koreans. And because the Koreans are being extremely racist. Now, for context, the Koreans were at, I believe it was a Vietnamese concert or something, and there was a rule at the concert, and it was do not have big flashing cameras because it blocks other people's view. Understandable, right? The Koreans brought a bunch of big flashing cameras, and they proceeded to do what they did. Selfies and everything, recording everything. And so I think like they got called out for it, whatever. And I guess basically what happened was the war started on Twitter, and the Koreans started calling the Mongolians and calling the Vietnamese people like apes. Like they literally posted photos of apes. Like, you know how Trump did that of Obama? Yeah, like that kind of a bullshit. Like that's fucking crazy and that's fucking racist. And what I'm gonna talk about now is exactly why I'm not surprised by the racism. Now, are we surprised? No, okay, let's talk about this. Okay, and I had my little K-pop phase back in high school, first of all, I was a Big Bang fan, okay? So I was the original fan club. Anyways, but think about their culture. Literally, their culture, it idolizes American culture. Their music, they idolize hip-hop culture. They literally copy, like, their dance moves. And I even know this because, like, I believe G-Dragon had trained with American hip-hop dance artists. Rain also trained with American hip-hop dance artists. They learned their dance style from American culture. And if you think about it, the way that every fucking person has the exact same plastic surgeon, or they go by a template or something, because like the same exact eyebrows, the same exact eye fold surgery, the same exact nose surgery, the same exact plump lip surgery, and then the same exact shaved chin surgery, and then the extended legs, that they break your legs to extend it. Okay, and like I completely also understand that society standards, it definitely does, fuck with how you think of yourself. Like, it totally does. And when everyone else starts looking the same, of course you want to look the same way. But like, think about what those traits resemble. Like what you would call pretty by societal standards of a white woman. It's because like they're pale skin. They use umbrellas when they're outside. They have no vitamin D. They have no vitamin D. Same skincare routine, same haircuts. Like, at what point do you run out of K-pop groups? Because like you're just going through them like a vending machine. Like that was just the base. And then every other group that came out after that looked exactly the same. Exactly the same. I cannot even, and this sounds so racist for me to say this, but I cannot even tell these artists apart. I literally can't. Like white, they thought they thought that if you were dark, you were dirty and you were lower class. Now, myself, I've always been the tannest of my entire family, and my family used to make fun of me. Like, and I'm not even that fucking dark, but I actually get a tan in the summertime, and they're like, "Oh, you look dirty." Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Okay, like, I have golden skin, first of all. Don't be jealous. Anyways, so the whole thing is funny. I don't have that much else to say regarding this, but one creator did compare the Japanese to like white colonial men and the South Koreans to white women, basically. So that was interesting.
I've just become aware of the whole Sibling versus Korea thing, and honestly, I will say, being Korean myself, it's not really that hard to see where they're coming from. In the Twitter interactions, like, all of those things are super out of line that the K-nuts, the Korean citizens, were tweeting. But also, I think the discourse at hand is finally bringing to light a very pervasive issue of colorism in Korea. I myself, being not pale, and not pale by Korean standards at all, have experienced a little bit of feeling like I'm lower class, maybe because I'm not pale, because I'm tan. I love my mom, but like, she's pale and my dad is tan, and like, my two other siblings are pale, and like, she'll always group them together, whereas like me and my dad are kind of like separate, and like similar personalities, just like the same people basically in her head, which is like, you know, that could be true, but like, she attributes a lot of negative things about us together, and maybe that's not about color, except that sometimes she does make it about how we're both tan. And I don't know, this is just a very interesting thing going on right now, and you know, there is a lot of truth to Koreans being racist, so yeah.
Well, part 2 of Siblings versus South Korea. Y'all, they still going at it. I did get a little bit more information on what happened. South Korean fan site was not allowed in a Vietnamese concert or meet and greet because he had a professional grade camera. It wasn't allowed because they didn't want any cameras or any technology blocking the view of people that came to see the show. Rightfully so. So after going back and forth about who was right and who was wrong, some of the siblings took a picture of the leader of the South Korean fan site and posted them on their profile picture to make fun of their looks. That's when South Korea fired back about the looks as well. Siblings let me know that they do it for the love of the game, not because they want to win. And unfortunately, South Korea took the bait. They started destroying South Korea on Twitter. I'm not going to tell you about some of the things that they said. Just go into my last post. They're still going at it. Siblings also let me know that they fight each other for sport. They are like siblings for real. Yeah, me and my sister and my brother might fight, but you better not say nothing to my sister or we're going to fight you. That's exactly what they did. They all came together collectively to whoop South Korea's ass. They said South Korean bully culture might work in South Korea, but it's not going to work with us. They are even going as far as to boycott South Korean products. No, South Korea got some good products. That doesn't seem like a big factor to the siblings when it comes to respect. I hope my Asian brothers and sisters can get over this mess one day, but who knows what the future holds.
I'm in Asian people's business again, but you know what? The door was open, and who am I not to take a little looky look? So apparently it is literally all of the Southeast Asian countries against South Korea, and they're getting ate up. They are getting ate up on Twitter. It's like a full-on war. And apparently it all started, the context was someone from Korea had went to a concert in Malaysia, and they had brought a professional camera. And so people was telling them, hey, in Malaysia, you can't do that. That's not a rule. You can't do that. And the Korean was like, well, you can do that in Korea. And they was like, okay, well, you're not in Korea, you're in Malaysia. And then apparently they just devolved into a bunch of racism, just stereotypicals about Malaysian. And so the Malaysians is like, hold on, bitch. And so they started going off. And maybe when I say the insults are insulting, so if you don't know, context, again, South Korea is really known of like plastic surgery. They're like the capital, like the country capital of like plastic surgery. It's not uncommon, like after high school, that girls will get like double eyelid surgery, they'll get like nose jobs, they'll get like their chin done, they'll get their lips done. It's just apparently it's a common occurrence, right? And so they are going in. So like a lot of Koreans are kind of being more racist, and then the others, oh, they being creative. Like somebody literally said, we can't criticize God's creation, but we can criticize the doctor's creation. And of course, South Koreans don't have pimples. Pimples don't grow on plastic. And then someone says, I tell you to go jump into the ocean, but the ocean already has a microplastic problem. You shouldn't add to it. Baby, when I say they are coming in hot with the insults, and they're creative as hell. Korea may just have to take that L. They may just have to take that L.
So the Southeast Asians and South Korea is getting into it right now. South Koreans tried to get into like a Southeast Asian show with a professional grade camera, and they were not allowed in. It went from South Koreans victimizing themselves and wondering why they weren't let in the venue, from that to South Koreans are the superior race. Baby, they started tearing Twitter to the floor. Southeast Asians are fed up and they're tired of South Korean shit. I learned something new today because I didn't know that there was so much racism between these different Asian countries. So Southeast Asians and East Asians do not like each other at all for those reasons. Probably some other stuff too. South Koreans had the nerve to talk about Southeast Asians' looks, but they are number one in plastic surgery. I think it looks pretty good, but I don't know. South Koreans were making fun of the Southeast Asians because of their naturally darker skin complexion, even went as far as to comparing them to monkeys. Sounds familiar. Southeast Asians called South Koreans way too whitewashed. Southeast Asians let them know, hey, you're tan too, allegedly. Too busy trying to conform to and impress the white people over here in America. Seeing the difference between K-pop and Southeast Asians' version of that, they might not be wrong. Southeast Asians even went as far as to talk about South Korea's low birth rate and their grape culture. Turns out South Korea is heavily misogynistic and grape often goes unpenalized. Allegedly. Southeast Asia even took it a step further to talk about South Korea's suicide rates. It's getting messy. Looks like Southeast Asians have been putting up with this discrimination for a long time and they are fed the fuck up. Hopefully, my Asian brothers and sisters can come together and there won't be no problems in the future, but who knows what the future holds.
South Korea versus Southeast Asia, sibling. Let's talk about it. I actually just kind of want to talk about this one because this will be an artifact one day. Yeah. So that thread end up like talking about like, why are you guys talking in like colonizer language and whatnot? We, at least us K-Nads, are very proud of our Hangul, And I was like, oh, you want to talk about language? You want to talk about language, sis. Oh, tengok tu. You can see that, okay, Papua New Guinea, paling banyak. And number two, oh, look at that, Indonesia. And mind you, this is language, not dialect. Look, how many? I genuinely don't know any Malaysian or Indonesian, because that's where I grew up, right? That don't know at least 2 languages. Kau tengok lah, kuno cakap bahasa Melayu pandai, ngomong bahasa Indonesia lebih gampang lagi. Bahasa gue, cuy, anjay. Terus bahasa daerah juga, tiasa atuh seetik-etik mah aing ge. Ai mun maneh kumaha? Tiasa tuh bahasa lain? You can only say shibal. We can say it in so many other different language. Putang ina mo. Sekian, terima kasih. Kamsahamnida.
So apparently there is a fighting going on online on X platform where Koreans versus their neighbors, they're fighting. And right now you can see people exchanging words left, right, and center on X platform. Why? Because of one incident where one of the K-pop group was performing in Malaysia, and during that concert, the one of the Malaysian photographers told not to use professional cameras because of they had their own reasons. So as a result of that, so some of the Koreans online, yeah, went online and started abusing Malaysia. They ended up abusing, other Asian countries. As a result, siblings, yeah, the neighbors of Koreans, they kind of grouped together. The Malaysia, Indonesia, the Filipino, Thailand, all of them, they end up, grouped together and started writing on online on X platform against the Koreans. So Koreans, now it's been back and forth for the last 2 weeks. So let's watch this video and you hear how people are reacting and what Koreans and also other siblings are talking about. When I talk about siblings, I mean the neighbors of Korean. What are they saying about this whole fracas that's going on? So stay tuned and kindly subscribe to my channel. So, and tell me what your thoughts are. Because I know for the longest time, when your neighbors, there's always that stereotype. The neighbors will be complaining about one thing and the other neighbor will complain about something about you. So it's back and forth, back and forth. So who's going to win this war? Only time will tell. But the reality is people are literally watching the exchange and they're like, left like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening in 2026. Stay tuned.